So thank you so much to all the speakers. Thanks, Paoji. Thank you so much for all the speakers' perspectives. Now, some of these questions got answered partially on an individual basis, but I want to pick one particular question in the interest of time. I want to pick one particular question and then pose it for to each of you to give a quick 30-second opinion, or if not a minute's opinion on what you feel. Now, definitely the part that COVID-19 has had a major impact in terms of the economic activity, and trade is a fundamental of the economic activity, and the fact that ocean freight accounts in most cases almost about 90% in terms of the volume of trade that happens, at least 80 to 90%. And almost all the ports have been privy to the challenge of the capacity constriction across the entire trade lanes. So there has been strong decrease in the cargo volumes, and obviously we have seen a lot of blank sailing, and overall the activity has been quite low. Now, from the perspective of looking into the post-pandemic scenario, while you have individually talked about what are the growth areas, what I wanted to actually ask you as like a pointed response, in 30 seconds, or 40 seconds, is what will you consider as as the top areas in terms of opportunity space, or your comment on how the port landscape from your view looks for in the post-pandemic environment. So just let me repeat the question for you, which is like, what would you say as a top 2 or 3 areas of business opportunity from your port perspective, number one? Or how do you see in general the post-pandemic opportunity for the port sector? So perhaps I would start with Paoji to get your quick opinion on this.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gopal. So basically, port is just only within the limited bonded area, right? So we are looking forward to expand capacity for the logistic, right? So logistic right now, because there are chains of the logistic business is doing, like people is not visiting the store. They're more into like remote or buying online. So logistic business is one of the area that we are focusing right now, whether through the marketplace or the conventional industry. And also learning from the pandemic itself. So maybe 100 years ago, there was also Spanish flu, right? So it lasts only 2 or 3 years. So I think COVID-19 also like 2, maximum 3 years for us to face. So this is actually the time for us to invest. Yeah, like looking, let's say, whether container business is the one that we should invest, or any like brick bulk terminal. I think that's my perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's a very pointed view. Thank you so much. So let me ask the same question to Ms. Maria. What is your views on opportunities from a port perspective in the post-pandemic scenario?
I think everyone is, you exercise a caution. You're very caution in the actions that you have to take. So would be a wait and see, but at the same time, you also check what areas you can invest. So for example, for PPA, the pandemic has given us opportunity to develop ports as a crew change hub. So we are, getting or looking at that opportunity, whether it can be sustained even post-pandemic, post-COVID pandemic.
Okay, fantastic. So about, let me pose the same question to Mr. Vijay. Vijay, your comments on what you see as the opportunity space moving forward.
Right. Thank you, Gopal. The most important, what we foresee and what we are seeing in Port Klang during COVID, the initial time of COVID, and we practice MCO in Malaysia, we learn how to adapt, and taking advantage of this adaptability is looking at what you have and how can you market what you have. What we marketed was our storage place at the backyard, where Port Klang Free Zone, an adjacent 1,000 acres of logistics hub that is at Pulau Indah, where Westports is there. Basically, we managed to fill up the whole place. And we took advantage of that. And shipping lines were very happy that we could accommodate their containers, and we have got the capacity to assist them to assist in terms of for their storage space. So it was actually a blessing where Port Klang has always been on a supply-driven basis, where we capitalized on the capacity, the additional capacity that we had. At the same time, we have to be thankful to our government, which has actually allowed for the flow of essential cargo and non-essential cargo periodically to ensure the supply chain is not broken. And we learned a lot and we adapt a lot. And we got to learn that the future is digitalization. And if not for the good connectivity and digitalization process that is in place, I think would have been very difficult for us to cope. That's it, Gopal. Thank you.
Yep, very valid. I think, Vijay. I think it is very critical for companies to adapt, specifically from a digital perspective, and maximize whatever digital tools that they have had invested in. So thank you so much for the response. So perhaps Ms. Fanin from Nampen perspective, what is your view in terms of post-pandemic growth opportunities from a port sector? What you see, Ms. Fanin?
For the opportunity for post-pandemic, actually for the two ports, as consumption will pick up, will benefit from the export of agriculture products and also our garment sector. For Phnom Penh Port specifically, our opportunity is we will computerize our process even more. As the previous panelist has said, all ports have learned to adapt. So for PPAP, we've computerized our process, and we need to push for the new projects such as special economic zone to generate additional traffic. Thank you.
Yeah, very good, valid point in terms of specific segments of the business also that you touched upon. So thank you so much for those views. Prasetyo, will you be able to comment? I saw him moving between devices, so I'm not sure if he's able to connect back. So Prasetyo, yes.
Sorry. I'm in a trip back to Batam because actually I'm from this is trip from the Baju Balik Karimun. Yeah. So please repeat the question. So, okay, I got it clearly. Hello.
Yeah, Prasetyo, I think the it's not very clear. So perhaps we will just shift to other participants if you don't mind.
Hello. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Prasetyo is not able to hear you, so we'll just skip this for now. So
maybe we can try again, Mr. Gopal.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll just that's yeah.
So
go ahead, Pa.
Yeah, Pak Prasetyo, if you open your mic, maybe you'll be mask. Maybe you'll be a bit little bit.
That's fine, Rosita. I think
okay.
Yeah, we'll just so if you can just put me back on the spotlight. Let me just summarize some of these learnings that we had received. So I think a few things that we had seen primarily, obviously from a port sector perspective, is obviously digitization is one thing that everyone highlighted as the key focus area. And the other, interesting value addition that Mr. Vijay was talking about earlier, as well as Pa Oji was also referencing to, is in terms of supply chain or the value chain integration. It is not just the port as such, but you look at the entire value chain, whether it is marketing the capacity in your backyard in terms of storage or in terms of delivery capability. The end-to-end integration today that the port sector is actually maximizing is something that is very critical to be ramped up. The other is to create supporting capacities, not just from port infrastructure, but also from the perspective of whether it is in terms of free zones or warehousing or last mile connectivity or bonded areas. So these are all very important from a post-pandemic opportunity perspective to be explored from the viewpoint of the port sector. So before I finally thank all the participants, so just want to turn to Pierre and Julian, being the sponsors of this session, and the fact that you have seen a lot of these initiatives. Any final words from you before we wrap up?
Thank you, Mr. Gopal. Actually, it's quite encouraging to see that even though the current situation as we know it is pretty difficult and intense economically, the ports in the region keep looking ahead into the future and plan for expansions and increasing capacity. So it's putting a lot of hope in the near future once we are past this difficult period.
Yep, totally. I think that optimism is what I'm also carrying post this session. Is while the last few months we've been talking about ocean freight capacities to be almost down to 20% in most key trade lanes, and the fact that we all talked about blank sailing and ports, struggling with capacity challenges. Now, looking at each and every presentation that the port sector made, it is very, very encouraging, and it's very positive to see certainly a bright future for the overall sector. So, thank you to Dextra for making this session possible. Thank you to all the panelists for putting in all the time and presenting some interesting facts, as well as opinions, as well as sharing your time. So thank you so much for this wonderful session. Back to you, Rosita, in case you want to conclude any points.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gopal. A special thank you to you for moderating today's webinar. Thank you once again to Dextra Group. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Pierre, you and your team. Thank you very much for sponsoring this webinar. I would also like to thank all the panelists today for your spending time for your insightful presentation today. The presentation today and the recordings today will be available to all registered attendees tomorrow at www.transportevents.com. Thank you for viewers for your attendance. We hope this webinar has been valuable and informative and help you develop new business from what you have experienced here today. Please may I ask everyone to follow Transport Events on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and to visit our website at www.transportevents.com for latest information on our market-leading annual events and online webinars. Please email me if you would like to have your company's latest full color logo, corporate logo on companies detail branded exclusively during and after one of our future market leading webinars. please contact me directly at rosita@transportevents.com. That's ROSITA@transportevents.com. And looking ahead, please register for our IAPH webinar on Sustainable Port Development Asia, Southeast and Oceania region on Tuesday 29 September, presented to you by Transport Event and sponsored with many thanks from Port Klang Authority here in Malaysia. And with that, I wish everyone the very best, and I look forward to meeting you again on next Tuesday. Thank you for now, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Good day, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.